Okay, MD, this is a very special Ronline report. Joining me today is somebody you all know, whether you love him, whether you hate him, you know who this guy is. He's Bostin Loyd. Some of you didn't want me to interview him. Some of you were begging me to interview him. So if you didn't want to watch his interview, just don't watch it. And if you do, here we are. You should be very happy. Bostin, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Where to begin? Where to begin? I would say the biggest divide in terms of people who support you versus your detractors is probably age. It seems to me like the over 30, over 40 crowd, you know, disapproves of you, doesn't like you, and the under 30 crowd, especially the guys in their 20s, late teens, 20s, you know, they think you're a godsend. They're glad that you put your message out there and that you put the truth about certain aspects of the sport and what's involved in building these physiques and whatnot. Have you definitely noticed the same trend that it's the younger guys that are more your supporters?
I think it's but you also get the younger ones that trash talk more. I think the older guys that don't like me, they don't really voice their opinion as much. They just don't like me. But like the more the haters are still like the younger crowd. But honestly, I've had a lot of clients and they're like over late 40s and 50s contact me that actually like my videos. So I think it's all over the place. But majority, I would say younger generation likes me more than the older generation for sure.
Now, your dad was an amazing amateur competitor. You know, by today's standards, he would have been a pro. It was very, very difficult to turn pro back in those days.
Yeah, because he placed second to Stridham at the USA's. Yeah.
There you go. I mean, you had to win the overall back then at a national show. Only one man turned pro at a national show, and now it's, you know, including all the divisions, I don't know, it's like 50.
Yeah, it's insane.
So your dad's definitely an old school guy. I'm old school. He's even older school. I've often wondered, what is John, your dad, you know, what does he think about, you know, the higher doses and the way you talk so openly about drugs and things like that? What does, and does he worry about you personally as a dad?
Always. Yeah, he's always like, did you get your blood work? How you feeling? He's always like, yesterday he texted me, he's like, how you doing? I think he sees like when I blow up, like, you know, I put on like 30, 40 pounds recently in the last month. I think he gets real worried. He always gets real worried when he sees a drastic change. When I'm more slimmer, he doesn't really, you know, say much. But he always asks me, how you doing? What are your doses? But honestly, Ron, back then it was like so old school. Like they would just take an amp of this a week or an amp of this every other day and some D-ball, maybe a little bit of test and DECA in the off season. It was very, very simple. You guys, like my dad had a drug that he said that everyone used called Blasterone back then, and it was like an injectable Anavar, Parabolin, and Test Prot mix.
Wow.
All in one, and they would just shoot that 1 cc every other day for pre-contest, you know?
Yeah.
He didn't really even use that much Winstrol. It was very simple. So when he hears the dosages that I do, he almost doesn't even believe it. He goes, what in the heck? He just doesn't, you know, back then he used growth from cadaver, I think, for a month or so, and that's all he used. And insulin wasn't back in the 80s, and nobody was using that. So he doesn't even get insulin. He's like, why do people, you know what I mean? He just doesn't understand it. Back then it was more lots of eating. They did get a little fatter in the off season because I think they didn't rely on the drugs. They relied on the food and the heavy training.
Yeah.
So I think it was a lot different. It's just a completely different aspect. Where me, I could train moderate intensity, get a pump, take a ton of drugs, and have good nutrition and grow. Where back then, they relied on heavy training, lots of food, where they would definitely get really fluffy, and then they would come down and diet real hard and do hours and hours of cardio. My dad was 2 to 3 hours a day on the bike, just insane amounts of cardio.
Well, see, you know, this is an interesting debate that people have is, you know, back in those days, you know, they said drugs were the finishing touch and it was all about the training and the diet. And I believe there was just a deeper love, a passion for training. Guys like your dad, the guys I started out with in the gyms in the late 80s and the 90s, they just loved to train. I mean, and I don't see as much of that same love for training now. I think people just want to look a certain way.
Correct.
They don't necessarily love to train. Do you agree or disagree?
I 100% agree, and I think social media has a big part of that. Everyone's posting their new PRs and new training techniques with bands for marketing. I think a lot of that is, but back then I really think they love to train, and they love to train hard and heavy. But see, that's the other issue is I look at my dad these days, and he's pretty beat up. Like, he can't even lift his shoulder up.
Yeah.
He's, you know, his knees are jacked up.
Same here.
He's all messed up, man. And you know, and Ronnie Coleman seems like he's real beat up. So that scares me a lot. And I could train heavy. Like, when I was younger, I used to train heavy, but these days I don't, because I look at the longevity. Both my parents have full-blown knee replacements. I'd rather have a longer longevity, and like, to me, I don't need to throw around heavyweight. Like, it isn't like, oh, I need to go to the gym and lift heavier than I did the week before. Yeah. And I tore my pec last year too, so that was a big scare. So that really set me back. And that was a big thing. And I never had training partners, and that's when I had a training partner just for one day, and he was like, one more rep after I was already done on bench, and pop, and that was it. So I've learned a lot from that too. But yeah, I think you're right. I think people had a stronger passion for training back then.
Right. So, you know, I'm all about, I know exactly what you mean by being banged up. I'm in the same situation. But I mean, let's say, you know, you're 45, 50 years old. Would you rather have, you know, a shoulder that's jacked up and your lower back and your knees and this and that? Or would you rather have damage that could be coming years from now as a result of the drugs? Because, you know, I think you have to admit there is a certain amount of risk that you're taking with the larger doses that guys of your dad's era didn't take.
Correct, but I also do think that it's like a genetic thing. Like, I think a guy that's like genetically that has like kidney issues, it's in their genes. If they run like, you know, drugs at all, it'll raise that. Or a guy who doesn't have kidney issues, or it's in their family, could run a lot and he won't have an issue. So I think you're running a risk either way of taking the drugs. I haven't had any health benefits like that, like health things because I'm so young. Yeah. But I am curious. Like, later down the road, let's say when I'm 40 and 50, let's see how I'm holding up. Let's see how my kidney and liver are holding up and stuff like that. But as far as my kidney and liver now, like, all my functions are fine. I feel fine. That's when I tone it down. If I start feeling toxic and stuff, and I like start feeling like that nauseous, like feeling where like I'm gonna puke and shit, yeah, I'll cut out the drugs that I know that are causing it, because that shit's not worth it to me. You know, I push it to where I feel like I can.
Well, you know, kidney and liver is one thing, but I think that's easy to monitor. But I think the damage that most of us who use things worry about more is the heart, because that's a long term, and that's that silent killer. You could friggin' have a heart attack in your sleep. Yeah. You know, I've lost friends. I've lost people that I know that were my age or younger. They're dead. They had heart attacks and died. I mean, that, to me, I would be more concerned about that.
Can you say it was for sure bodybuilding? You know what I mean? Like, you don't know.
No, I don't know. But I mean, they were heavy users, and if they had underlying issues, which I don't think many people know if they do or don't, you don't know if you have a problem until something happens.
And that's why I think stimulants in the long term are probably the more dangerous than even steroids and stuff. You know, so like back then, my dad didn't even use Clen. They didn't use Clen. You know, it wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
So who knows? They use like ephedra and stuff a little bit, but who knows what the repercussions are? And we won't know until about probably 30, 40 years, when this younger generation that's using a lot of drugs. Yeah. We will see that later down the road. But as far as that, I mean, I think a lot of it's genetic, man. I really do. Because I know guys who have used so much hard stuff and are like in their 50s now, 60s, and they're fine. So, and they're not using hard stuff now at that age, but they were. I don't think your body could handle all the drugs at like for you, if you went to go on a crazy cycle, right? Like a ton of tren and shit. Yeah. I think you would feel terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I think anybody feels terrible on a ton of tren, personally. But
yeah, I mean,
I think anybody feels wonderful on a ton of tren. But I mean, the doses that you've used, the doses that you've, I don't want to say advise, because I don't know for sure whether you advise people or not.
I don't advise crazy shit now.
Do you believe that much is necessary? Because, you know, I personally, and a lot of guys from my era, we think it's overkill because we know what was used back in the day. Well,
you remember we did that interview at the New England's, like, what was that, 2013, right? Yeah. And now it's 2017.
Yeah.
And, like, I was using more then, way more than I am now. You know, that was when I made that, it was like 12-gram cycle combined to whatever. But, yeah, I think certain drugs, like what are you going to do if you take your test over a gram or 2 grams. There's just going to be adverse side effects. Estrogen is going to shoot through the roof. You're going to have to combat it with a ton of anti-estrogens. So I do believe that there's certain drugs that, yeah, like you could take too much and it'll actually hinder your physique from growing. But then again, it's like that's why you have to know, I mean, blood work is kind of crucial, because if you go in there and you don't aromatize, or you aromatize extra, people are super sensitive to tests. Some people aren't. I think it's all based on that, but I think a lot of it's genetic too, because I know guys that respond like crazy to 500 mgs a test, right?
Yep.
And then I know other guys that have to run more. I do to get the same type of result. So, you know what I mean? So you can't treat everyone the same. You really can't. Because look, I actually do believe that Michael Lockett turned pro naturally, because he told everyone he turned pro naturally, and everyone's like, this guy's full of shit. And then in a year, he's on stage 40 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like that guy is like a freak. Like, he doesn't even need much. He probably runs bare minimal. I think Phil Heath doesn't run a lot. Yeah. But then you got guys up there that, you know, who have that drug look. And you could just tell, like a Branch Warren, a Fouad Abiad. You could just tell they just look like, I don't know. It's just that you could just tell.
Well, I mean, do you agree that I don't think back in the day that you thought genetics were that critical? It seems to me that you've sort of changed your point of view about that.
I've always thought genetics were crucial. I've always been on that, always, since like day one. Because I see guys that I train that like respond insane to just such little stuff. And then you got guys that are just like, are you cheating on your diet? Like, what's going on? Like, you're not, like, it's a slower process for some people. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I swear to God, Ron, I've used low doses and they work. Don't get me wrong, they work. Yeah. But when I run certain drugs higher, they work better. Yeah. You know, like 300 mgs a tren. If I run 700 mgs a tren, I get better results. I mean, that's just me. You know, same with Masteron. If I run 300 or 100 every other day, or 100 every day, I get better results with 100 every day. Okay. And majority of my clients do. But now there is a point where I've tried 2 to 3 grams of this and that, and then it just there's no real benefit after that. Okay. You know what I mean? So,
how old are you now? 24?
I just turned 25. I'm 25 now. When we did that interview, I was 22. I think, yeah.
You became kind of known. You became pretty well known at 21.
Yeah.
So you've been on the scene now about 4 years. It seems like it's longer, but I guess it really hasn't been that long. In what ways would you say you've changed your thinking about certain aspects of either the sport or of drugs, anything? Because you've definitely have changed and matured in my eyes over these years. You're not the same kid that I remember from, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, shit, my life's a lot different now too. Like, you know, I was living in a 1-bedroom, like single back then, just doing my own thing. But like, my life's changed a lot. But I think that the biggest thing is I've looked at everything as longevity. And a lot of young listeners, like, listen to this. Like, you guys can take as many drugs as you want, right? And your body can only put on as much muscle as your body's going to allow it to. It's not like you take more and you're going to gain more muscle. You know, you'll maybe put on some more water weight, which I've been there. I've been chasing the scale. Like, I need to get to 290, need to get to 280. And your body can only put on so much muscle. So take it slow. Don't force feed. Listen to your body. That's the biggest thing, is listening to your body. Because, look, if I wake up and I'm not hungry, I'm going to get my ass on AM cardio. And I'm going to make myself hungry, and I'm going to eat a meal. And if I'm not hungry, I'm not going to eat, because your body's trying to tell you something. Either your digestion's backed up, something's backed up. So, and you know that your body can only really put on, you know, if you put on 35 pounds and you know that you can only put on 10 pounds of lean tissue a year, something's wrong. Something's wrong. You're putting on fat and shit. So that's my biggest thing. And I've really like backed down on everything. Like, I don't really have carbs in the morning if I'm not hungry for them. Like, you know, I only have carbs around my workout, and I'm steadily growing. I'm like 270 lean. And it's just, sometimes if I'm not hungry in 3 hours, I'll wait another hour and I'll eat at the 4th hour mark. You know, you just got to listen to your body. But a kid's got the wrong idea, I think, when I had those videos in the beginning, think, let's just take a shit ton of drugs, not worry about nutrition. And I get aggravated now because I get clients that just hire me for drug use. Yeah. And they don't change, because you already know that the drugs supplement the diet. It's not the diet supplementing the drugs. Right. So, I mean, that's the thing, is like, people don't understand that it's patience, because my physique is so much more enhanced now in a good way with lower drugs than it was when I was 21. And like people are like, you should look like fucking Phil Heath with all the drugs you take. No, it doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? Like, it just takes time and patience of consistency. Now, the more consistent I am, Ron, like if I train 5 days a week for a year straight, the better I'm going to look. If I take months off, it's a stepping stone backwards for me. So I think it's just like consistency, and consistency, and that's where people fall apart, because not too many people could be consistent for year after year after year.
Yeah, I want to ask, because you have taken a time, you know, big chunks of time off. Are you still planning to do that? Or, I mean, that
no,
I never. Yeah, somebody that really loves this. I don't know how you could.
I never planned on any of that though, because moving, buying a house, like, okay, I'll admit, if I can't have a pinpoint nutrition on my diet, I'm not going to be going to the gym. It's just, that's not it. My dad has had this conversation. He's like, you don't love to go. And it's like, Dad, if I can't go in the gym and progress, I don't want it. There's no point for me. And when diet's number one. So the only reason I've taken breaks off is because I've had like that arm thing. You remember when my arm blew up at the show? I had to take like 3 months off then. All the moving into my new house. I bought this house in 2015. I'm going to be here for a while. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be consistent. And when you saw me at that show in 2015, when I looked like a watery shit log, you took a look at me. You didn't even tell me how bad I looked. I didn't know how bad I looked till I saw pictures. But I weighed in at 226, right?
Yeah.
At this other show, I weighed in at 238, and that was a year. It was exactly a year. So I put on 12 pounds, and I was way sharper, as you see. So I put on like 15 to 20 pounds of quality size. And that was a year, Ron, of 5 days a week training, 5 to 6 meals a day, you know, and I didn't come off gear, obviously. I was rotating my drugs as always. But it's consistency. I mean, what else can you say, you know? Yeah.
So you've said at times you had certain goals as far as competition, and at other times I know you weren't interested in competing anymore. Where do you stand right now as far as that?
Definitely no competing, and I'm so much happier not like focusing on, because like I'm obsessive compulsive. That's where I get real dangerous with my shit. Is when I know I'm competing, I go too crazy on the drugs and too crazy on the stimulants and all that shit. And I know and I had to sit back and give myself a reality check. I know I'll never be a top 5 Olympian where I'm going to make money. Shit, I'll never even, you know, I'll easily say, if I wanted a pro card in the next 5 years, Ron, you know this shit. It's not that hard to get a pro card these days. Okay? But that's not a goal of mine. Like, what's a pro card? You know, once I get the pro card, where am I going to go from there? I'm going to get last call-outs at every pro show I do. Yeah. What's the point of that? I don't want to waste my time doing this. So I step back. I'm a family man. I got 4 dogs. I'm engaged. You know, I'm happy. But if I go down that lifestyle of the industry and like try to chase, you know, winning, and it's going to be unhealthy, first of all. Second of all, I'm not going to be happy. And the third, I can't travel for shit, Ron. Every time I travel, I binge. Like, I can't, like, I can't do it. Like, I can't travel. I'm not a traveler. Yeah. So I don't know. I make a good living doing what I do now, sitting at my house working from my computer. Why would I? You know what I mean? It's just, there's nothing for me.
Right. Well, you know, I want to give you some credit, because I've knocked you for how you've made money, like selling SEOs, advising people on some things, you know. Whatever, we're not always going to agree, and that's fine.
Yeah, obviously.
But I will say that I admire your hustle, because I don't think you've been handed shit in life. I think everything has been earned. And I talk to so many bodybuilders who are still in that mentality where I need a contract. Somebody needs to sign me and just give me a check every month. I mean, there are tons of kids out there now that aspire to make money in this game. What would you say to them as far as how they should go about doing that?
Well, I actually talked to a pro bodybuilder that was getting a contract for, I'm not kidding you, Ron. Yeah. It was $2,000 a month, and this guy's like a decent pro, like not great, but he's decent, right? $2,000 to $3,000 a month. And I'm thinking to myself, and on the contract, he can't train people. Like, he can't do his own online training. It's like you can't post about anything on social media except your bodybuilding shit, like no personal stuff. Wow. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I go, you could do what I'm doing and train people, and I know for a fact you can make more than double that $2,000 a month doing your own shit, like promoting yourself, promoting your training, people who look up to you, And the thing is as you know, a lot of online trainers, they're shitty, you know?
Yeah.
So they don't care about their clients. But if somebody actually took passion into it, but you're right, they're lazy. And when they're so wrapped up in competing, all they want to do is they want to get money from a company, maybe take a couple pictures of the supplements, and, you know, and get a check in the mail, when I know for a fact they can make way more if they marketed themselves, because I know for a fact that these contracts aren't much more than $2,000 to $3,000 a month unless you're at the top level, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just sad because I know guys that have huge followings that aren't making much, and they could make a lot more because they could really market their training, you know, even make an ebook, you know, about, you know, certain things that they believe in, or anything, you know. The money's always there. And like I tell Ariella, like I don't promote shit anymore, because when I do promote, it's too much. I don't want to become a Rich Piana, because when I do videos, it's too much. Like I get too many emails, like I get stressed out. I have anxiety issues.
Yeah.
So for me, it's better to just lay like low, because every time I do something, it's just too much. It goes overboard. So, but like I said, when I go overboard, the money comes in like crazy. But to me, I'd rather not have the money. I'd rather be more like, I'd rather feel good. I don't want to be stressed, you know?
Yeah.
So I thought that's a big part. But I think a lot of people are so wrapped up in competing. You're right. It's like the social media image, fitting in. It's because they're insecure and they want to fit in with something. And a lot of people are like that. And honestly, Ron, I think I started a little bit like that too. I was bullied in school. I was in special ed. I think that's what happened with me, is like, I had to find something, right? So I found something that not necessarily I was good at, but I mean, I had a niche of something. Yeah. And a lot of it happened. And I could say the same for Ariella too. I think we both got it for the wrong reasons, but we met each other. We've had our ups and downs and that, but now we're like, it's like we're like a complete different couple now. Like, she doesn't even work out anymore, Ron.
Really?
Like, nothing, man. And she still looks great. I mean, she doesn't work out at all. Like, no drugs. She hasn't been on drugs for a year.
Wow.
Everything's different, man. Like, my relationship, everything is better ever since I stepped away from the whole industry. Guys, stop that. The dogs are going crazy over here. But yeah, I mean, like I said, ever since me and her have like stepped away from the scene, I haven't been to a show, an expo, nothing. It's been a lot better for me. And like I said, I could make a couple posts on Instagram and keep a steady revenue going with clients to keep me, you know, up. Guys, stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my life right now, babysitting 4 dogs.
So, do you follow the sport? Are you a fan of the sport?
Huge. I'm on MD. I'm on RX Muscle all the time. Looking at pictures. But why do I need to travel to go to the shows to pay a ton to get a back seat? I could just watch, and I'm really like a fan. Like, I really like watching this shit. Like, that whole shit with Sean Ray and Dallas McCarver, gold. Like, that's gold. People, the industry needs more of that shit. And you know what?
Yeah.
Jose Raymond. I don't know the guy. I never met him.
Yeah.
But the guy speaks his mind. Like, I like that shit. Like, he went on a RX video with Dave Plumbo, and he's like, "Fuck that! I'm gonna shit on the Camel Crew. Like, they can't beat me." And even though he lost, right?
Yeah. It
still was awesome, because I was like, "When's 212 coming up?" I'm all following this shit because I'm all excited about it.
Yeah.
And I think bodybuilding needs more of that. Like, the open guys, they talk shit behind each other's back, right? Because I know some of them, they talk shit behind each other's back, and they get on an interview like, "Oh, I wish them the best. They have great calves." Like, oh, they're just they're just kissing each other's ass. Where now Jose Raymond, he came out talking shit, right?
Yeah.
He loses. So now he probably feels a little silly, right? But it's going to fire him up that much more to be better at his next show, 100%. Because I remember when I talked hella shit and I got my ass spanked in 2015.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to buckle this shit down. My business is sinking. I need to reevaluate my shit. And I did, and I came back the next year, a lot better. So I think him doing that is motivating himself, and it's motivating other people. You know what I mean? Like, it just needs more of that. It needs more of that.
Well, I think a lot of your appeal is that you do speak your mind. You're not afraid to piss people off, for better or worse. A lot of us, especially if we work in certain aspects of the industry, we have to be very careful what we say. Have to be very careful about pissing certain people off. Are you happy to be in a position where you really don't have to worry about what you say, or who worries, or who's going to respond and react angrily to what you say?
It's awesome, because I don't, like you said, I don't have to worry about any. I'm my own boss. You know what I mean? Like I have a partner for my peptide company and my synthol company, but like I'm my own boss. Like if that was to fall through, I still have my training. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's always been my number one thing is focus on customer service with my training clients. And that's always number one to me. So yeah, but you're right. These guys, but hey, but Sean Ray works for Muscular Development. He doesn't filter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And he got a lot of shit for all that, as you know.
Yeah, but see, I think that, yeah, he got a lot of shit now, right?
Yeah.
But look, if it's the truth at the end, like when he said, you know, Kevin Levrone, don't come back, and he came back and he had no legs. Yeah. If Flex Wheeler comes back to the Olympia and he doesn't show up like he's supposed to, I mean, it's the truth. I mean, people are going to be like, you know what he's saying is actually true. If Dallas McCarver keeps going downhill like he has been, it's going to be the truth. So I mean, what's that? If you're talking the truth and it's proven, it's factual. I mean, you know, what are you gonna really say about him? I mean, I don't even know him. I know he doesn't like me too much, but I mean, he's right. I mean, I can't even disagree with him.
Yeah, I mean, I was really surprised you came out and supported him like that. You know, I'm sure Dallas was not very happy about that, but whatever.
Yeah, Dallas sent me a message on Facebook, pretty upset. But I mean, like I said, man, I have my own views, okay, and if you're gonna get mad about it or block me on Instagram, like I'm blocked. The top 3 guys at the Arnold had me blocked. Dallas McCarver, like 3 of them had me blocked. If they just can't handle it, like Fouad Abiad blocked, like dude, they're like all blocked me. It's like, and some of them blocked me, and I don't even know why. Like Juan Morel has me blocked. I don't know why. I've never even talked to him. Yeah. So I mean, like I said, it's very like they're very sensitive. It doesn't make sense. Like I don't even understand.
You know? That's what I was curious about. I mean, you do have a lot of fans, a lot of people who appreciate what you do and the way you conduct yourself. But you definitely have a lot of people who don't like you. You have haters. You know, I've seen when you put a video out, I'll look through all the comments, and there's some horrible things people say about you. You know, how do you deal with that? Does it bother you? Do you let it roll off you?
I don't know, something about the internet, man. I just don't really take it serious. Like I honestly, Ron, it pisses Ariella off. She'll write comments back and shit, like, and I'm like, babe, I go, why? Like it's the internet. I swear to God, Ron, it's never bothered me. Yeah. I don't know, because the way I was raised, my parents just didn't give a fuck about what people thought about them. You know what I mean? They were gym owners. You know, everyone would talk. You know, it was just mumbo jumbo. And I don't know, the internet. It's like a bunch of trolls like talking to each other. So for me, I laugh at this shit. I'm like, look, he's talking about how small my dick is. Like I don't care. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, they're not affecting my life at all. You know, why get mad? I mean, like I said, if they're coming to my door and shitting on my fucking front porch, you know, then I'd be pretty mad. But, you know, it's just all online, you know. So, I mean, Ariella gets kind of heated with stuff. Yeah. So I have to, like, ban her from reading comments sometimes. But
well, I find my wife gets a lot more upset at the things people say about me than I do. So it's probably just it's a good thing. It means she loves you. Yeah. I know you didn't have a lot of time to talk today, so I definitely would like to speak again in the future, especially when you got new things going on if you want to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm doing this one-year transformation again. Everything's going pretty well. The main thing, Ron, is like a lot of people one last thing I'll get up is a lot of people get caught up into the cheat meals thing. Like, how many cheat meals should I have a week? Like, you know, this and that. And it's like, unless you're craving, I don't see the benefit of a cheat meal. Don't get me wrong, Ron. I have my fucking cheat meals not because I want to, because I don't know. Like, if there's no goal in mind, like. And like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But the best results I've ever gotten, the last couple of weeks, I've buckled it down. I haven't had cheats. And like, if you're not craving a cheat, I see these guys in off season, they'll still be bloated and like not even hungry, and they'll be like, oh, it's cheat meal day. Yeah. Don't have the fucking cheat meal. Like, why? If you're not craving it, like, if you go 2 weeks on a clean diet and you make great progress with your physique and you're craving something at the end of the day, add it on to your clean meals or something like that. But that's like the physique killer of all, is like cheat meals. Fucks your digestion up, inflammation, you feel like shit, you know, it just fucks you up for days, you know what I mean? So like sets you backwards. So I got into the big thing of having a cheat meal every day, right? Like every day before bed. And I got up to like 280, right? Yeah. But it was garbage 280. I dropped the food down and to clean food, and I dropped down to like 270, and I looked so much better at 270. I felt better, my training was better, my pumps were better. So people need to stop thinking like, oh, I need to eat all these calories to grow, because honestly, you eat more calories, you're going to get fat. You know what I mean? Like, there's only so much your body's going to utilize of the food to actually utilize for muscle growth. The is going to be fat gain. And people think when you know, post-show rebound, they're putting on all this weight. It's intercellular water and sub-Q water. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's just all over the place. If I could advise anyone on the cheat meal thing, like if you're not craving it, don't eat it. You know what I mean? Don't have scheduled cheats. You know, if you can go 3 weeks without a cheat, you know, those 3 weeks are going to be great for your physique progress-wise, because I've noticed that. And then you got guys like that need all the calories, supposedly, like Dave Palumbo said he needed to eat like a double quarter pounder with cheese every meal or some shit. And like, I'm like, holy shit, like 99% of the people would, like, how would you, if you did a cheat every night before bed, would you get soft?
I'd be a fat fuck.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so you know, like 99% of the people can't get away with that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Well, I might be in Rhode Island to visit Ariela's family soon. Maybe we'll get a workout in that general or something.
Yeah, hit me up. Yeah, I want to add that until maybe 10, 15 years ago at the most, that term didn't even exist, cheat meal. Nobody talked about cheat meals because we just dieted. You figure cheat meals, you eat that in the off season when you're trying to grow and you're not worried about being lean.
So if you cheated on your diet, it was like, holy shit, like I fucked up, right?
Yeah, it was a bad thing. It's like you're mentally weak. You cheated on your diet.
I worked with a Kim Albrecht for a couple months. He's very good. He's a German bodybuilder from the 90s, right?
I know him, yeah.
And he actually made a good thing. He was just like you said. He was like, nobody even knew what a cheat meal was. He goes, you eat McDonald's or, you know, this shit. He goes, everyone would just be like, oh man, like I fucked everything up.
Yeah.
Now it's like a cool thing to do. Like, let me post on fucking Instagram that I'm binging on Denny's. And Ron, when I cheat, I don't feel good about it. I'm not gonna post it. Like, I don't preach that. Why would I want to post something I don't preach? You know, if I have a slip up, I feel like shit. Like, so I don't know why people get that whole thing of like, and then now everyone wants a coach that has like crazy cheat meals in their plan, like some, you know, Denny's refeed every 3 days. Like everyone wants a coach where they can eat shitty food but still look good. It's just like the minds are backwards, and that's what a lot of people don't get about me. Like, I'm so about nutrition. Like, I'm all about nutrition, about eating clean, feeling good. And yeah, obviously I talk about lots of drug use too, but like I've never neglected nutrition. I've never preached that you can eat junk food and get and maintain a good physique. I've never preached that ever. Okay. You know, so sounds good. But yeah,
I want you to. What is the website people can go to for more information?
For what?
For your website.
Oh, my website's www.bigdaddyb.com.
Okay, important we get that in there because I do appreciate you taking the time and doing this.
Yep.
So yeah, I definitely would like to talk again in the future, and yeah, if you're coming up to Rhode Island, you got to let me know, okay?
I will for sure, man. Thank you.
All right, for the Ronline report, this has been me, Ron Harris, with the Bostin Loyd. Later, guys.